there guys, Portal Master 9351 here, and in this video we're going to be talking about sort of the general state of toys to life. Now before I get started, I do want to say I'm going to be hitting on a lot of topics in this video. It's going to be a very long video, it's going to be a very descriptive video. It's not your general entertainment sort of thing. It really is a very fact-based video. I just want to give you guys a heads up so if it's not your thing, you can leave, but if this is your thing, definitely stay because we're going to be going really in-depth into this topic about why and where Toys to Life is and where Toys to Life in general is headed. So, Toys to Life. It is this genre that appeared out of nowhere in 2011 from Activision. Yes, there had been other games before that were very similar in concept to Toys to Life. There was a game called UB Funkies, which pretty much was the first thing to be anything like Toys to Life. There was also a Pokemon game with like a little handheld thing that you could stick a character down onto that took off like several years before Skylanders was around. But those weren't really Toys to Life, and Skylanders was really the first game to come in and truly not only copyright the term Toys to Life, but also really define and make the genre a popular genre. Since then, many other companies have joined into the Toys to Life party and made their own versions of Skylanders, their own renditions of Toys to Life. It's become an increasingly popular style of game. And so, in this video, like I said, we're going to be looking at how it got there, where it is now, and where it's going. Let's go ahead and let's meet the competitors of Toys to Life. You've got Skylanders, Disney Infinity, Amiibo, LEGO Dimensions, Lightseekers, and Starlink. Those are the 6 major players in Toys to Life that have ever existed that we know of. There are a couple of minor players as well. There were Sick Bricks, there was Playmation, there is something called Heroes Plug and Play. Of course, you've got the general Indian ripoff, like any good game does, called Gamayaya or something like that. It's basically like Skylanders, but with characters from Indian folklore. But it's a pretty crappy looking game. I went and looked at some gameplay. It doesn't look that good. The figures do look cool. But those are pretty much the 6 major competitors in Toys to Life. Skylanders is, of course, the one that defined it all. It's run from 2011 to the present. You had Disney Infinity, which was created in 2013 and ran all the way to 2016 when it was canceled. You have Amiibo. Amiibo started in 2014 and is still going to the present. LEGO Dimensions, of course, started in 2015 and still runs today. Lightseekers just launched this year in 2017, and it is still going, of course. It launched like a couple of weeks ago, so I'd hope it's still going. And you have Starlink, which is not currently out yet, but it will be coming out in 2018 and going forward for a number of years. So let's look at some statistics, why don't we? This is a graph that Alpha Ambush published on his Instagram a long time ago. If I'm correct, it comes from VG Charts, but I'm not 100% sure on the source where he got it from. It's not important because it is a reliable graph. I've seen it used in many articles. I'm just not sure where it originally comes from. Either way, though, it tracks the sales of the various games over the years. And it shows a couple of interesting trends. For Skylanders, pretty much every game went higher and higher and higher in terms of sales, and actually this shows that the game peaked in 2014/2015, which is different than what a lot of people would have expected. This implies that Trap Team was the #1 selling game. Even though Superchargers came out in 2015, Trap Team was out for the majority of 2015, and so most of the sales in 2015 would have been from Trap Team. Most people were under the impression Swap Force was the best game, but this seems to imply that Trap Team is actually what had the largest number of sales. Since then, each game has declined further and further, culminating in 2017 with an even lower rate than ever seen before. Disney Infinity kept growing and then dropped off. Pretty simple as for that. Amiibo steadily growing with each year. you have LEGO Dimensions, growing exponentially each year and on track to become the #1 selling Toys to Life game. Then you, of course, have those other games that nobody worries about ever. So from that we can gather Skylanders is declining, Disney Infinity is out, Amiibo is growing, LEGO Dimensions is massively growing, and we of course don't know for Lightseekers just quite yet how the sales are going to be represented for it. But where are they going from here? What is truly next for each of these games? As you all know, I'm sure Skylanders is on, at the very least, a 1-year hiatus from console games. There will be no major Skylanders game released in 2017. The only content that will be released for Skylanders will be Academy, merchandise and comics, and Lost Imaginite Mines in the US, along with a few other creation crystals, assuming they actually come out. You have Amiibo, which is releasing more and more Amiibos every year, and is looking like it's gonna keep going for the time being. LEGO Dimensions days are numbered. Whether it's being canceled this year or going to go on and finish its original 3-year plan, its days are numbered. And I'm going to talk more about that in a minute when I get to the actual finance portion. There's an even more detailed finance portion of this video, and when I get there, I'm going to be explaining why LEGO Dimensions is actually failing, even though it is going to be the #1 selling Toys to Life game this year. Lightseekers is looking like it's going to do fairly well. So as far as games are concerned, how's it going to work? A Skylanders game may come in 2018 following this 2-year hiatus. If it does, and it does well, probably due to the fact that it's had an extended development time, I could definitely see another game released for Skylanders down the road in 2020, but most likely not in 2019. I think regardless of how Skylanders, whatever happens, I don't think we'll ever see annual Skylanders releases ever again. And it's just because the market was getting too overfilled with so many characters to buy. We will never see annual installments ever again. So Skylanders could go to 2018 if it, even if there's not a game, it will technically have still extended into 2018 considering Academy. If it does have a game in 2018, it will technically extend to 2019 as there would be figure releases through 2019. If there is a game released in 2020, which could happen if a 2018 game does well, Skylanders could theoretically extend all the way into 2021, which is actually only 4 years from now, which is kind of scary that the 2020s are like 3 years away. As far as Amiibo is concerned, Amiibo is growing, like I said, and one of the genius things about Amiibo is that you can buy only a couple figures. There's no starter pack, so you can just buy whatever you want, whatever you're interested in. And so that is why they are able to release such a wide variety of Amiibo, and anyone will buy them. There was a similar appeal with Disney Infinity, but the biggest problem with Disney Infinity was that you needed a starter pack. With Amiibo, there's no problem with this. If you just want one type of Amiibo, you can just get that one type of Amiibo. If you only wanted the Monsters, Inc. stuff from Disney Infinity, you still had to buy the starter pack to be able to enjoy them. For Amiibo, there is not that problem, and that is one of the reasons why they're going to be able to release all sorts of Amiibo and just retire Amiibo that people don't respond well to and only release Amiibo that people are going to like. Nintendo is not going to stop releasing games, and as long as Amiibo for some games are selling, they will continue to release some form of Amiibo one way or another, and that is why Amiibo will continue on well into the 2020s. LEGO Dimensions has an initial 3-year plan, and I don't see that being extended, and like I said, I'll talk more about that in a minute. So I would say LEGO Dimensions is out of here by 2018. Lightseekers has at the very least 1 year of full releases planned. It released 2 figures now, will release 2 figures before the holiday season, will release 2 figures at the early part of next year, and another 2 mystery figures later into next year, most likely the spring or the summer. So at the very least, we have 1 full year of Lightseekers content planned, and I have a hard time imagining that they would not continue on from there. And I do see them continuing on. Lightseekers figures could probably go for 2 to 3 years, and I would say the same thing with the cards. So Lightseekers, I would put its deadline at 2019 or 2020. Starlink is not even out yet, but Ubisoft is not necessarily the type of company that would go for annual releases. I recognize that Assassin's Creed and Just Dance, both made by Ubisoft, do have annual release patterns, but Far Cry does not. And this seems like something that would fall under the release pattern of Far Cry. So I see the initial Starlink game being released in fall of 2018, like it said it would. Figures would release through fall of 2019, the announced figures. There are 8 ships and 16 pilots announced as of right now. I see all of that coming between fall of 2018 and fall of 2019. From there, I could see DLC announced for Starlink and another 4 ships and 8 pilots released from fall of 2019 to fall of 2020, at which point another Starlink game could in theory be made. At the bare minimum, Starlink will continue to 2019, but I could very easily see a sequel being made in 2020 given the amount of hype that is behind this game from the gaming community as a whole, which would continue its releases into 2021. So, it could potentially go as far into the future as 2021. You can sort of see over here a timeline of what that would look like. And I think this really kind of gives us an idea of when Toys to Life as we know it is going to end. And it looks like the deadline is 2020 or 2021 based on what we see. I have, however, said I think Amiibo will continue well into the 2020s, just given the fact that they have so much flexibility on the release pattern of Amiibo. And that is, like I said, why I think it will continue for such a long period of time. This, of course, does not take into account the fact that there could be additional Toys to Life games announced in the future. I do not see new games being introduced, but very easily there could be new games introduced. So let's now talk about one of the most important aspects of running a business, making a game, making a movie, doing anything: the money. And this is going to be really interesting because, of course, we have the graph over here of the finances. We don't really know how accurate that is, but it's the only thing we've got to work with right now. So, Skylanders has sold hundreds of millions of dollars every single year. But it's underperforming. But it's not doing as well as people said. It's failing, supposedly, but it's making hundreds of millions of dollars. LEGO Dimensions is selling incredibly well. The #1 game in the genre. But it's going to get canceled this year or next year. Why is that? Why can Lightseekers only sell a few $1 million worth of products and still stay afloat? That's what I'm going to be talking about. So Skylanders and Lightseekers. Let's go ahead and make this analogy first in relation to money. So Lightseekers is probably not going to sell anywhere near the amount of money as Skylanders or LEGO Dimensions or Amiibo or Disney Infinity even. But how are they going to stay afloat? Let me put it to you this way. Activision employs 4,000 people. PlayFusion employs less than 50. That's a really big difference. That means that PlayFusion has 1/100th of the amount of people that Activision has. So, they can make 1/100th of what Skylanders makes and do really, really well. Now, granted, not all of Activision's 4,000 employees are even doing game design. Many of them are their legal team or their PR people, and not everyone is working on Skylanders. But the idea is they have so many employees that they have to pay, they need to ensure that they are only making the most profitable games they can make. So if they're spending money and not making that much back, they will scrap a game in favor of a game that can produce a higher profit margin. PlayFusion is a little bit different. It doesn't have as many people. It doesn't have as much of a wealth of experience to draw from compared to Activision. So it doesn't need to make the most profitable game they can. Obviously, they need to be profiting, but they don't need to be profiting anywhere near to the degree that Activision does. And that is why I am confident that Lightseekers will do well, even though it's never going to be anywhere close in terms of sales to any other Toys to Life game ever created. Look at Playmation on this chart. I'm almost positive that there was a very, very small development team on Playmation. And the reason I say that is because Playmation was not the best game you've ever seen. So that probably means that only a team of like 100 or less people actually worked on it. And it probably only made in its lifetime around 20 million over 2 years. But that was okay because there were only a few hundred people working on it. Skylanders, like I said though, had a much larger development team. Of course, it had all of Toys for Bob, all of Vicarious Visions, and then it had all the people above them at Activision that still needed to make money. So that's the thing there. Let me give you another analogy in relation to money. If it takes me $100 million to make a movie, and that movie makes $100 million, compared to another company that spends $50 million on a movie but makes $75 million off of it, which movie is more successful? Yes, movie number 1 made $100 million and movie number 2 made $75 million. And if you look at that, the first movie was more successful. But the thing is, the makers of movie 1 did not profit. They broke even. The makers of movie 2, although that movie may not have been as good, made as much money, they still profited $25 million, and now all the people that made the movie can get money. They can get paid. They can live nicely. That's the same thing that's going to go on with these Toys to Life makers, and with any game, really. As far as Amiibo is concerned, it's a license to print money. They just make a couple of in-game DLC items and they make money. There's no reason for Nintendo to stop making Amiibo because they can just make a couple of figures, put a couple of things in-game, and they just sell them as collector's items that create novelty things in games, and they make instant money. The reason that LEGO Dimensions is going to decline, even though it is making so much money right now, is that it is not making as much money as it could. You see, ever since LEGO Dimensions started, all of the other LEGO games have not sold as well. LEGO Batman, LEGO, any of these other LEGO games have not done anywhere near as good as they could have had LEGO Dimensions not been around. LEGO Dimensions is hurting the sales of other LEGO games, and that is why it is going to go away, either this year or next year. And a lot of people are confused about that because they're like, it's selling so well, why are they getting rid of it? And it comes down to that. I was reading an article that was saying that's the real reason they're gonna that it's probably gonna get canceled. I don't know where that article is. If I can find it, I'll link it down in the description. But that's what I've read. So that is why LEGO Dimensions is gonna go out one way or another. So that's pretty much the breakdown of why some games are doing well but not doing well, and some games are not selling well but are still making a profit, and all those things. I know it can get really confusing. Trying to understand money is not always the easiest thing to do, so I just wanted to try to kind of help you guys understand why the situation is with some games, what the situation is with those games. Now, obviously this isn't the most motivational video. You know, we're all Skylanders fans. You might be fans of other Toys to Life games as well. And I pretty much just said the entire genre is going to be gone in like 4 years. Obviously, not the most inspirational, like, uplifting video I could have made. And usually I try to stay optimistic, but there's an end for everything. And the end for Toys to Life is coming relatively soon. We are farther from the beginning of Toys to Life than we are from the end, if you don't count Amiibo. But Amiibo is not exactly Toys to Life in the sense that the other games are. But let me tell you something. Gaming is always evolving, and the reason I got into Toys to Life personally is because it was something new. It was something cool, it was something refreshing. And Toys to Life, I love technology. Technology is awesome. I'm really a tech geek. I'm a geek and a nerd at the same time, and I love technology. And that is one of the reasons that Toys to Life really took a liking to me, why I thought it looked so cool. I think the same thing about VR. I think the same thing about all other types of gaming that's coming up. Some sort of type of gaming is going to come someday that's going to be far more impressive than Toys to Life ever could have dreamed of being in like 10 years. 10 years ago, the smartphone didn't exist. YouTube barely existed. The internet was still trying to figure out how it all worked and stuff like that. And HD TVs were only just then becoming affordable. Like, the amount technology has progressed in 10 years is insane. Toys to Life has come a long way since its release in 2011, and it's come even further since it was originally designed in 2009 as Spyro's Kingdom, not really as a Toys to Life, but as just a traditional video game. But advancements in technology allowed it to go up that next step. There's a thing with technology. Technology increases at an exponential rate. You can see a graph over there of pretty much how technology is progressing in terms of power. In 10 years, 8K TVs will be a thing that everyone will have in their home. Pretty much everyone is getting 4K TVs now. Soon, people will have 8K TVs and so on and so forth. Technology is not going to stop. Video games are not going to stop. And although Toys to Life may just have been a blip on the radar of technology in the long run, gaming is evolving. And the types of technologies that will be invented that will allow us to play even newer types of video games are insane. They're going to be insane. We don't even know what they are yet, but they're going to be insane. And that is what gets me really excited about the future. Knowing that although the current type of technology related to gaming that I love is going away in the relative near future, it's comforting to know that new types of gaming will be on the way that will make Toys to Life seem laughable. And that just, to me, is kind of motivating and heartwarming. I don't know about you guys. But that's pretty much all I have for you guys in this video. All I have for you guys. This has been like a 20-minute video, probably one of the longest ever discussion videos I've ever had. I really put a lot of thought into this. I've been wanting to make something like this for several months now. I've been slowly gathering information, and I was kind of wanting Light Seekers to release before I made this video. So tell me please what you think about this video. Do you like this longer format of video? Would you prefer me stick to more bite-sized types of videos? Do you like the fact that I went in depth in this? What do you think about my opinions? What do you think about that ending? What do you think about this whole thing? That is what I want to know. Please give me all the feedback you have. But anyways, this has been Portal Master 9351. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.